Belhaven was a town like any other. It had little shops and cosy houses. Children played in the streets, but Belhaven had a secret. It was the ancient clock tower that stood in the town square. The tower was tall and imposing. Its bricks were old and covered in ivy. A large clock face with its long, elegant hands dominated the tower. The clock tower was more than just a timekeeper. It was a landmark, a beacon, and a whispered legend. The townsfolk told tales of its mystical properties. They spoke of a hidden chamber and a magical artifact. This artifact, they said, could control time itself. The legend had been passed down through generations, and it was this legend that captured the imagination of a young boy named Max. Max was a curious and adventurous boy. From a young age, he had an insatiable thirst for discovery and a boundless imagination that often led him to the most unexpected places. His friends would often find him wandering through the woods or exploring abandoned buildings, always on the lookout for something new and exciting. He loved exploring the nooks and crannies of Belhaven. The small town was filled with hidden gems and secret spots that only someone with Max's keen eye could find. Every alleyway and cobblestone street held a new adventure, and Max was determined to uncover them all. But the clock tower held a special allure for him. It stood tall and majestic in the center of town, its ancient gears and mechanisms a mystery to all but a few. Max was fascinated by its history and the stories that surrounded it. He would spend hours gazing at it, imagining the secrets it might hold. The tower seemed almost magical to him, a relic from a bygone era that had witnessed countless events and harbored untold mysteries. He listened intently to the stories told by the townsfolk. They spoke of the tower's origins, its builders, and the strange occurrences that had taken place there over the years. Each tale added to the tower's mystique and fueled Max's curiosity even more. He dreamt of the secrets it held. In his mind, the tower was a gateway to another world, a place where time stood still and anything was possible. He often imagined himself as a brave explorer, uncovering hidden chambers and ancient artifacts. One day, Max met Old Man Cooper. The encounter was serendipitous, as if fate had brought them together. Max had heard whispers about the old man, who was said to be a living encyclopedia of Belhaven's history. Cooper was the oldest man in Belhaven. His weathered face and wise eyes spoke of a life filled with stories and experiences. He had seen the town change and grow, and he knew its every secret. He was said to know all its secrets. The townsfolk revered him, often seeking his counsel on matters both mundane and extraordinary. Max was eager to learn from him, hoping that Cooper might share some of his knowledge about the clock tower. Cooper told Max about the chrono crystal. His voice was low and filled with reverence as he spoke of the legendary artifact. The crystal was said to possess incredible powers, capable of bending time itself. The chrono crystal was a heart-shaped stone. Its beauty was unmatched, and it was said to glow with an otherworldly light that could mesmerize anyone who gazed upon it. It pulsed with an otherworldly light. The crystal seemed almost alive, its glow shifting and changing as if it held the very essence of time within it. Legend had it that the crystal was hidden within the clock tower. The tower's intricate mechanisms and hidden chambers were the perfect hiding place for such a powerful artifact. And whoever possessed it could travel through time. The possibilities were endless, and the thought of such an adventure filled Max with excitement and determination. Max was captivated by the story. His mind raced with the possibilities, and he knew that he had to find the chrono crystal, no matter the cost. He decided to find the chrono crystal. The quest would be his greatest adventure yet, and he was ready to face any challenge that came his way. He pored over old books and maps. Max spent countless hours in the town's library, searching for any clue that might lead him to the crystal's location. He searched for clues about the tower's hidden chamber. Each piece of information brought him one step closer to his goal, and his excitement grew with every discovery. He knew it wouldn't be easy. The path to the chrono crystal was fraught with challenges and dangers, but Max was undeterred. His determination and sense of adventure would see him through. But the allure of the crystal and the prospect of time travel were too strong to resist. Max's heart raced with anticipation as he imagined the incredible adventures that awaited him. The journey to find the Chrono Crystal had begun, and Max was ready to embrace his destiny. The opportunity arose during a rare solar eclipse. The townsfolk gathered in the square. They watched in awe as the moon obscured the sun. Max knew this was his chance. The eclipse, he believed, would somehow unlock the tower's secrets. Max slipped away from the crowd unnoticed. He approached the tower, his heart pounding with anticipation. He had a plan. He had studied the tower's architecture. He found a loose brick near the base. This, he believed, was the entrance to the hidden chamber. He pulled the brick free. A cool breeze wafted from the opening. Max peered inside. A narrow passageway was revealed. It was hidden behind a large ancient bookshelf that Max had accidentally nudged while exploring the old tower. The passageway seemed to beckon him, whispering secrets of the past. Max's heart raced with a mix of excitement and trepidation as he peered into the darkness ahead. It was dark and dusty. The air was thick with the scent of old parchment and forgotten memories. Cobwebs hung like delicate curtains, swaying gently in the draught that seemed to come from deep within the passage. Max could barely make out the outlines of the walls, which were lined with ancient, crumbling bricks. Max hesitated for a moment. His mind raced with thoughts of what could lie ahead. Was it a trap, or perhaps a hidden treasure? He had heard stories of secret chambers in old towers, but never did he imagine he would find one himself. The unknown both thrilled and terrified him. Then, with a deep breath, he entered the passage. Each step echoed softly, the sound swallowed by the oppressive silence. He could feel the weight of history pressing down on him, as if the very walls were watching his every move. He followed it deep into the heart of the tower. The further he went, the more the air seemed to change. It grew colder, and the musty smell of age was replaced by a damp, earthy scent. Max shivered, pulling his jacket tighter around him. The air grew colder and damper as he descended. Water dripped from the ceiling, forming small puddles on the uneven floor. Max's breath came out in visible puffs, and he could feel the chill seeping into his bones. He wondered how long this passage had been hidden away, untouched by time. He could hear the faint ticking of the clock's mechanism above. It was a comforting sound, a reminder that time was still moving forward, even in this forgotten place. The rhythmic ticking seemed to guide him, urging him to continue. The passage opened into a circular chamber. The walls were lined with intricate carvings, telling stories of ancient times. Max marveled at the craftsmanship, wondering who had created such beauty in this hidden place. The chamber was dimly lit by a single shaft of light coming from a hole in the ceiling. The light seemed almost magical, casting long shadows that danced on the walls. It illuminated the center of the room, drawing Max's attention to what lay there. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal. It was made of the same ancient stone as the walls, but it was polished to a smooth finish. The pedestal seemed to glow faintly, as if it held some kind of power, and on that pedestal rested a small, heart-shaped crystal. It was unlike anything Max had ever seen, its surface flawless and shimmering with an inner light. The crystal seemed to pulse gently, as if it were alive. It pulsed with a soft, ethereal light. The glow was mesmerizing, casting a gentle radiance that filled the chamber. Max felt a strange connection to the crystal, as if it were calling out to him. Max knew instantly that this was the Chrono Crystal, the legendary artifact he had read about in old texts. It was said to have the power to control time itself. Max's heart pounded with excitement and fear. He had found it. As Max approached the crystal, he noticed a lever on the wall. It was partially hidden behind a tapestry, its presence almost an afterthought. The lever looked ancient, its metal tarnished and worn by time. It was old and tarnished. He pulled the lever. The mechanism groaned in protest, but it moved. Max held his breath, wondering what he had just set in motion. The ground beneath him began to shake. The crystal pulsed brighter. The entire chamber seemed to come alive, the carvings on the walls glowing with the same ethereal light as the crystal. Max watched in amazement as the shaft of light from the ceiling transformed into a swirling vortex of colours. The vortex seemed to reach out to him, inviting him to step into its embrace. Max knew that his adventure was only just beginning. Section 5. Journey Through Time. Max was drawn into the vortex. He felt a strange sensation. It was as if time itself was bending around him. Then everything went black. When he opened his eyes, he found himself in a bustling workshop. Strange tools and contraptions surrounded him. Men in leather aprons worked diligently at their benches. Max realized he had traveled back in time. He was in the same workshop where the clock tower had been built centuries ago. He watched in fascination as the craftsman worked on the intricate gears and mechanisms of the tower's clock. He saw the chrono crystal being placed inside the clock face. It was a key component of the tower's mystical properties. An old man with twinkling eyes approached Max. His presence was both comforting and mysterious, as if he carried the weight of countless secrets. He introduced himself as the clockmaker, the original keeper of the chrono crystal. His hands, though aged, moved with the precision of someone who had spent a lifetime mastering his craft. He explained the crystal's power. It wasn't just a tool, it was a relic of immense potential, capable of bending the very fabric of time itself. It could control the flow of time, allowing its bearer to journey to the past or future with just a thought. He warned Max of the dangers of tampering with time. The crystal's power was not to be taken lightly, for even the smallest change could ripple through history. He told him that altering the past could have unforeseen consequences for the future. The balance of events was delicate, and one misstep could lead to chaos. The clockmaker showed Max how to operate the chrono crystal. He demonstrated with a practiced ease, his movements fluid and confident. He explained that the crystal responded to the user's thoughts and desires. It was as if the crystal could sense the intentions of its holder. To travel through time, Max simply had to focus his mind on a specific time period. Concentration was key, and the clearer his thoughts, the more accurate his journey would be. To return to his present, he had to focus on the memory of the moment he left. The crystal would guide him back, anchoring him to his original timeline. Max listened intently, his mind racing with possibilities. The idea of exploring different eras was exhilarating, but he also felt the weight of the responsibility. He thanked the clockmaker for his wisdom and guidance. The old man had given him not just a tool, but a profound understanding of its significance. He knew he had a responsibility to use the crystal wisely. With great power came great responsibility, and Max was determined to honor the trust placed in him. The workshop began to fade around Max. He realized that the chrono crystal was returning him to his own time. He felt a pang of regret at leaving the past behind, but he knew he had to get back. Max found himself back in the secret chamber beneath the clock tower. The eclipse was almost over. He could hear the excited murmurs of the townsfolk above as the sun began to reappear. He knew he had to hurry. Max emerged from the passageway just as the last sliver of the moon moved away from the sun. The townsfolk cheered. They were oblivious to his adventure. Max smiled. He had returned, and he had a secret. He glanced up at the clock tower, its face now illuminated by the returning sun. It looked different to him now. It was no longer just a tower, it was a time machine, and he, Max, was now a part of its legend. Life in Belhaven returned to normal, but Max was changed. He carried the secret of the chrono crystal and his journey through time. He never spoke of his adventure, but he continued to study the clock tower. He learned everything he could about its history and its secrets. Years later, Max grew old. He became the keeper of the clock tower. He would often tell the children of Belhaven the legend of the chrono crystal. He never revealed that he had been there, but he hoped that his stories would inspire them to keep the legend alive. And so the tale of the mysterious clock tower and the boy who travelled through time was passed down through generations. It became a cherished part of Belhaven's history.